Hey everybody, welcome to the daily update for Wednesday, February 18th, 2026. Happy hump day. Better lighting today. I think I got that figured out. It's going to be a much quicker daily update today. This will be more in more in the vein of the length that we will normally have. Boy, this is like a, I feel like a presidential candidate with my word salads here. Today's update will be more the standard length that we do these daily updates, 10 to 15 minutes at most. So when we left things yesterday, we had a potential reversal here. What I noted is that we had stopped going down. That's the first thing you have to do. And we had buyers stepping here and we pushed back, and it's not really a reversal hammer because it's got this upper wick, but it had the same general feel. So right out of the gate today, we saw some follow through. We had a little gap up, some consolidation right around yesterday's high. Then boom, we break through. Now, one thing that I will come back to again and again and again is that when you start seeing this spread here on the moving averages on a 5-minute chart, an intraday chart, this is the 5 EMA, this is the 9 EMA, and this is the 20 EMA. When you start seeing that spread, and the wider it gets, that means the stronger the buying is. The longer you can stay above the 5, the stronger things are, right? Same thing with the 9, progressively the 20. What the 20 will often do is the 20 will often be the limiter either for a trend up day or trend down day. So what I mean by that is a day that, let's say, gaps up and just keeps going higher all day long will often have the 20 coming in as support. A day that does the opposite, the gaps lower and keeps going lower the whole day, will often have the reverse. The 20 will be the resistance that price can't get over. So you see we started off great here. We get the gap up, consolidate at the old high from yesterday. We break here. We start seeing the spread in the moving averages. We're above the 5 for quite a bit. We can't close below the 9 till here. We come into the 20, which is normal. That's support. We hold here. And then we start to just fade as we're going into the FOMC meeting notes. And then we see that crossover. That's where things flip. And we start seeing the spread the other way. And now we can't get back above the 9 on the way down. So we take a situation that looked like it was bullish and it absolutely flips 180. Looks like we're going to lose the high of the day. And then finally we get some end of day buying. What that end of day buying does is it makes the daily chart end up looking a little bit better than it should have. It gets saved in the last 30 minutes. I'm not a big fan of that sort of stuff, but look, if we're going to play by the technical analysis rules, we got to be consistent and we got to say, okay, or we're evaluating at the end of the day. That's what we're going to do. So where are we at the end of the day on the SPX? Well, I just don't see any real advantage for either the bears or the bulls in the short term right now. I mean, look, you could say we are within this range here on an opening and a closing basis, and we had, we tried to push it down here for the bears, buyers stepped in. We tried to push it up here for the bulls, sellers stepped in. So this is kind of a key spot here. How are we going to resolve this? Are we going to get above here, get a close above here, or a close below there? I think that's going to determine where we're going in the short term, but I don't really know which way I'm leaning. I would say maybe I'm leaning a little bit into the bulls camp because we have held this level. And even though we didn't hold the highs of the day, we certainly are not selling off. So maybe slight advantage to the bears or bulls, but really not enough advantage, in my opinion, to make a difference. You can see we got rejected at the VWAP. We couldn't get back above the 21. We did recapture the 50, which is good, but we need to stay above it for more than 1 day. Just like being below the 50 for 1 day is not the end of the world. Being above it doesn't signal anything. We got to confirm that by getting above here. We also weren't able to get this support resistance level. So very ambiguous, I think, short term. I will make a point here. Sorry, my cat looks like she might want to go out the door. When it comes, let's go back real quick here. So VWAP right here, anchored VWAP off of the SPX. I had a little off. I'm going to have to open the door for my cat. Sorry. All right, baby. Come on, go. Cats, what can you do with them? I had an offline discussion yesterday with, what is his handle now? What is your handle, buddy? Is it Velo CFO? I can't remember. Let's go back here. Is it, it is, you've changed it a couple times. It is, isn't this compelling video? Isn't this what you subscribed for? Yes, sorry. To Velo Trader. Velo Trader, by the way, someone I've known for 25 years, 30 years. I had a discussion with Velo Trader off screen about the AVWAP when it comes to indexes specifically. And he had a question about, does Brian Shannon differentiate between indexes and individual stocks? And that made me think for a minute. And I went to Brian's book, which is, it's around here somewhere. Flipped through it, could not find anything about that, went to ChatGPT. And what I found is that Brian doesn't value the VWAP on the indexes as much as he does on individual stocks. And the reason why, it makes perfect sense, right? The VWAP is based upon volume, but when you look at the indexes, you're looking at the volume of multiple different stocks, right? And yes, you could say funds by SPX fund, XPX or Qs or whatever, but it's just not as pure a play. It doesn't mean it's irrelevant, but it means you just don't weight it as heavily as you do with individual stocks. So I thought that was a good point. And again, just another reason why it's awesome to have a community, because you can bounce things off of each other. All right. So where does that leave us on the Qs? Qs still weaker, lower in the range, farther away from the all-time highs, which are still back here, right? So very ambiguous. What else? I still think IWM and the Dow look a little bit better, especially relative to their recent highs. They're going more in a sideways consolidation here, whereas we're still kind of sloping down with the SPX and certainly the Qs. So again, sometimes you look at charts, or sometimes people will look at charts because they're technicians and they have to give you an answer. This chart says this, or this chart says that. They have to be very definitive. The fact of the matter is, a lot of times technical analysis is ambiguous and you're like, I don't know. It's hard to tell. We want to wait until we really get a good sense of what the chart's telling us, till the odds are in our favor, so we think we have a better percentage chance of acting. And right now, I just don't feel like we do. It doesn't feel particularly risky. It just doesn't feel like it's going to necessarily go anywhere. Who knows? Tomorrow we could hit all-time highs. You never know in this market. All right, let's go to the indicators in the sectors. I do like the fact that the VIX closed below the low of this bar, which technically puts this in the category of a potential double top. I don't like the fact that it got driven all the way back up here and it's still above the shortest EMA. So again, ambiguity reigns. TLT, talked about this yesterday, this gappy action here right into resistance probably means there's a rest that's needed. Wouldn't surprise me if this comes down into the 8, or if it just goes sideways and waits for the 8 to catch up. That would be normal activity. All right, so Dixie looks like it might be heading back up, and that has generally been a bit of a pressure for the stocks lately if it goes higher, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. XLV looks fantastic. I mean, look at this tight little consolidation here. I mean, I'm not, we don't trade the indexes or ETFs really, but if you were going to, that's a great spot to get involved if you want to start a position on XLV. Bitcoin and Ethereum And let's get these out of here. Solana and crypto as a whole, still weak, still in danger of rolling over here, breaking, I mean, you could just say like this. That's what we're looking at here. Breaking below there. I mean, the line would be right here on Ethereum. Same thing on Bitcoin. So not looking great. And I think, Siri is creating a proxy for, downward movement in the market. XHB looks fine. Nice orderly pullback here at the recent pivot highs, still above the 8. So housing looking pretty good. If you look at individual names, they're not set up really. They're a little sloppy. Whoops, KBH. But we're going to keep an eye. Actually, KBH looks pretty good there. A little bit. I don't like these wicks up here. I'd like it to firm up a bit, but housing definitely outperforming. SMH. This is part of the ambiguity thing, right? A lot of things weak, but chips near all-time highs. It's hard to be too bearish with that. XBI looks fine. Still holding the 50. What else? XLF. Okay, this is a good 2-day movement back above the 200-day moving average. I'd like to see us either come up into this area and rest or go sideways for a couple of days and then follow through, recapture this level. That would go a big way to installing confidence in me about this market. Carry, holding at highs, recent highs, that's pretty good. Oil, look at that move on oil. Ba-boom. We had seen XLE and OIH holding their gains and not really giving them back. And I said that might be a clue as to where we go on oil. So we're getting a nice move here, but still have to clear this area to really get past these pivots. And what else? Gold, just going sideways here. Basing pretty nicely though after that big drop day. And gold miners holding up pretty well too, while silver is a lot weaker. If you look at these patterns, like so if you wanted to draw a pattern here, you could say, well, silver looks more like it's in a pattern that's about ready to break down, whereas gold looks almost the opposite. It looks like it's in a pattern where it's almost ready to get ready to break out. I will see. Solar keeps running above the 8, and pot does not exist. Okay, so we're in a world of D plus C minus setups right now. They're not great setups. These are all snapback trades. I don't like these type of trades, but this is what the market's given us. Just, trader beware. PayPal, super, I don't know if it's oversold, but it's sold off quite a bit. There's a lot of negativity on this name, which usually means it's time to snap back. If I'm looking at it and I'm connecting these right across here, more like this. And if I'm looking at this W pattern right here, I think a break above this area is a decent spot. You could get up into this gap. Probably would move slow, but it's a good risk reward spot. I'm going to move over to the green list, and you'll see when I move something new over here, you'll see newly added. These will be the things that were previous there from yesterday, and we'll deal with these in a second. Snow. These are some old VWAPs, right? Where is this VWAP from? I have to go back that far. I think it's from the all-time high. All right, so Snow is another one of those names that's just been oversold. It's got this potential little reversal here off of 2 VWAPs, very tight range. A potential break above here and above the 8. So I think that's a good risk reward spot, although it does have earnings coming up pretty soon. Move that over. Coinbase, again, way off its highs, aggressive selling here, bounced on this level, got below it one day and then bounced back above on earnings. It's going sideways below the VWAP. What VWAP is that? That is a pivot low VWAP, right? No, it's all-time high. Is that the all-time high? No, that's the IPO VWAP. This is the all-time high. So I don't like this wick here, but this is still a pretty tight spot to see if this thing can break and get back up in here. So we're going to put that on the green list. And Oracle, another one of those software names. They got very oversold. Might be in a place where it's bouncing. Very tight pattern here. Very easy to define your risk. So that goes over to the green list. What was on the green list? A bunch of suboptimal names that didn't really go anywhere today, but still are in the hunt. This is still a very narrow range for a $399 stock, right? So you can look at this 2-bar pattern above the recent support resistance level. So a break above here is what we're looking for. That stays on the list. This is where it gets tricky. You get a suboptimal setup that kind of triggers, but if you look at it on intraday, there's really no way you could have gotten involved in it. I mean, you could have just jumped on it, but it wouldn't have been a good risk reward spot. So even though it really wasn't tradable unless you bought it in the after hours, we're going to keep an eye on it because we want to see if it firms up. It did technically break out, but this is suboptimal because yes, it broke this 2-bar pattern, but it's still below the 8. It's still trending down, but this is like one of those neither fish nor fowl setups. So we're going to actually take it over to the active list against my better judgment. You can see it's now newly added to the active list. What else? Amazon did technically break out today. Not a very impressive breakout, still below the 8, but we're going to move it to active so we can monitor it. IGV, it's off the lows, did not break out. I actually like it better today. This almost inside bar that's green, a break above this area here, I think, could get it moving. My wife is screaming about something down there. So we're going to keep it on the green list. Palantir, technically broke out. Ugly reversal type bar below the 8. I mean, but Palantir could also just fill in this bar for a day or two and then break higher. So we're going to put it on the active list. Meta. I think Meta could still go. I think it could still explode from here. So we're going to keep this on the green list. And AMD, we're going to remove. Take it back to the red list. So if you're a new subscriber, I'll just tell you right now, these are not great setups. Unless you're really an active day trader, I would be just sitting back and watching, but I like to put these out there for people that like to be a little bit more active, but these are not ideal for sure. All right, let's go to the active list and see what was on it. The only thing that was on it was Devon, which still active. It's still above the 8. It's still moving higher. It's just basing here. So maybe one green bar here would put it back onto the green list for a potential breakout of this range. So that's where we're at. If you haven't gotten into the trading room yet, get in there. And if you get in there, I'll see you there tonight. Bye.